We will have a few minutes of gentle reflection. And then the musicians will play.
We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. This is a mantra created by Melanie Demore. Yeah, some of you may know her, a lovely spirit. So I invite you to sing along with me. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you, sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are. Oh, we are. It's beautiful. Keep on singing. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that beautiful song, and thank you to all of our musicians, Solace, Burke Lalji, Dame Drummer, of course Kev Choice hiding somewhere, and Julio Xavier Chetto. Thank you. Welcome. My name is Rain. I'm your host today. Welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, uplift us, and celebrate our oneness with all of life. Welcome to those of you joining us via live stream or YouTube today. And a very special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time on a Sunday morning. If you're here for the first time and you can raise your hand, our ushers have a gift for you. If you'd like to connect with us, please send an email to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. Now let's take a moment to bless our children wherever they are. Can you do it by memory? Okay, see if we can. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. I have just a few announcements this morning. I've noticed the script always starts like that, regardless of how many announcements there are, but I promise it is just a few today. Next Wednesday, practitioner Constance Chapman will be presenting on And Still I Rise. This is the fall equinox, so expect that to be woven into the talk. Meditation is at 6:30 and service is at 7, and Wednesday services are continuing on Zoom. Diversity Circle is at a special time this month with special presenters. It is September 24th from 4 to 5:30. Cousins Betty Kilby Baldwin and Phoebe Kilby will be presenting on their connection through slavery and the reconciliation that took place. Go to the events page of the website for details on the presentation and how to order their book, Cousins. Save the date, also Friday, September 14th, and the following day, September 24th, and the following date, September 25th, for the Courtyard Church Bazaar. This is a Marie Kondo clear off the stage sale. We are not accepting donations, but there is already an abundance of great items for sale, so mark your calendars. It's nonprofit application time for 2022. This program has been a major success and has forged many bonds between the Oakland Center and nonprofit organizations. Please nominate your favorite nonprofit by October 1st. The application is on the website and also in the Village News. Remember, if you're a member in good standing and want to help bring in our new minister or co-ministers, the application is due September 25th. The application is on the homepage of the website. Reverend Jeff left some very large, what do you call those shoes? Birkenstocks to fill. But I am confident our team can do that. Lastly, the compliance team is requesting that you please exit the sanctuary immediately after service using the exit doors. Our minister will be in the courtyard if you would like to greet him. Thank you. We have many more groups, ministries, and events happening here at the Center for Spiritual Living. And as always, for information on all of those events and all that's going on, you can check our website, oaklandcsl.org.
Good morning. Feels really special to be here today because we're moving into the autumnal equinox. So it's a very powerful time of the year. And I just want to kind of name that for right now. It's very meaningful. My name is Regina Buckwalter, and I am a practitioner here at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And I am here to pray with you this morning. It's my pleasure and delight to do that. The first reading, and you can choose to, you can choose to sit in your seats, kind of rest. This is a time to find comfort in our bodies. It's taking a few minutes to just feel more deeply. The first reading is from Prima Shodron. When we practice generating compassion, we can expect to experience the fear of our pain. Compassion practice is daring. It involves learning to relax and allow ourselves to move gently toward what scares us. The second reading is from Ernest Holmes. Our mind must remain firm in the conviction that our life is a part of God and that the Spirit is incarnate in us. So as we sit in the service, sit on these comfy chairs, sit in our homes if we're on Zoom, we find comfort. We find comfort in the breath, as we know that breath is spirit. Spirit is the vitality that moves through us 24/7, allowing us to live our lives here on earth. It is the breath that moves through us. As we sit in the comfort right now, feeling our feet on the ground, we allow that comfort to emerge as we are connected to the earth, and the earth is our support. The earth is our support. It is the Spirit. It is the goodness of God. It is how we connect to ourselves on this earth. It is through our breath. It is through sensation. It is through our feelings. When we feel, we know we are alive with God, and Spirit emanates and radiates through us, emanates and radiates love. As we find comfort, we feel compassion. Compassion moves through us. We breathe and we feel and we know that we are alive and we are one with God. There is no separation. And in that oneness, the compassionate love emanates through us. And we feel self-compassion and we soften into that. And the breath moves through us. I know that I am absolutely one with this compassionate spirit that moves through me. I am one with love. I am one with peace. I am one with that comfort of the Divine Mother that supports me always. And I speak a word for myself. I know this is true for every single person out there in the community, on the planet. We are one with God as we breathe and we feel and we know that the love of God moves through us. And I bless this service. I bless our speaker, Gregg Levoy, who will be here to inspire us, to deepen into the principles of love and compassion, community, connection, and oneness. I bless the musicians that have come here today to inspire us, open our hearts, and allow that oneness to emerge as God is good. And we know it and we believe it as we feel the support of the divine moving through us. And I just release my word into the law with great gratitude. I say yes. As the law is Spirit moving through us. And we just say yes to that love. Yes to that breath. Yes to that aliveness. As we breathe and feel the divine moving through us. It is that simple. It is that simple to feel. As the pain moves through us, as we breathe and say, yes, thank you, God, I am alive. And I release my word into the law. I let go, I let God, and I say yes. Amen.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there countries. It isn't so hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion to imagine all the people living life in peace. You might say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. Oh, no greed or hunger. Oh, a brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You might say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. Oh, I hope someday you will join us, oh, and the world will live as one. Oh, you might say I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. Oh, I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. Oh, you might say I'm a dreamer, a dreamer, a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Oh, imagine, oh, imagine, oh.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What a lovely, lovely way to start our morning. Thank you all so much. Beautiful, beautiful. Ooh, I still have chills from that. Oh my, thank you. I'm Reverend Jerry, and I am delighted to be here today because we have a very special person speaking for us, to us, around us, and I'm so excited to announce Gregg Levoy. Now, Gregg's been here before, and he's pretty amazing. He's an author of Callings, Finding and Following an Authentic Life, Random House. He's rated among the top 20 career publications by the Workforce Information Group and Vital Signs, The Nature and Nurture of Passion. Penguin. So these are two wonderful, incredible books that he has, and he has them available to us just outside the exit door. When you leave, you can talk with Gregg and look at his beautiful work and share in it. He is a former behavioral specialist at USA Today and a regular blogger for Psychology Today. He has presented at Microsoft, the Smithsonian Institute, Environmental Protection Agency, National Conference of Positive Aging, American Counseling Association, the National Career Development Association, the CSL Convention, and others, and has appeared on ABC, TV, CNN, NPR, and PBS. Wow, yes, wow. Gregg is a former adjunct professor of journalism at the University of New Mexico, former columnist and reporter for USA Today and the Cincinnati Enquirer. He has written for the New York Times Magazine, Washington Post, Omni, Psychology Today, Christian Science Monitor, Fast Company, and many others. And his website is www.gregglevoy.com. So I'm honored, and we are definitely in for a special treat today. So, Gregg?
So, are we on here? Testing, testing. Oh, is that better? Not quite. Anything I need to do at my end?
The red light's on.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Is there a mute button?
On, off.
Where's the mute button?
It says mute there, but I don't know where the button is. Sorry, a little technical difficulty.
Ah, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Not quite. But wait, sounds like he has to press a magic button, perhaps.
I'm going to put this on just in case.
Testing, testing. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah. There we go. All right. Thank you for your patience with all that. But I suspect we're perhaps used to some of that in the last year and a half, having to get up and running on technology. So thank you for that generous invitation. Thank you to the musicians wherever they are. There you guys are. Fabulous, just fabulous. And I'm delighted, really genuinely delighted to be here this morning, partly because it's one of the very first actual in-person events I've had in a year and a half. But also just happy to be here in the, light at the end of the somewhat longer tunnel than we expected phase of the pandemic. Really happy to be here. So I would like to kick off the talk this morning on the subject of trust by hearkening back to a different tumultuous time, at least in my life. And that is that back in the 90s, I moved from San Francisco to Taos, New Mexico. You guys ever been to Taos, New Mexico? I lived there for a few years, and I had been a freelance writer for magazines and newspapers for about a dozen years before I moved to the desert. But as soon as I moved to the desert, work inexplicably dried up. Assignments drained away, editors stopped returning my query letters. My freelance career simply unraveled. Plus, I ended up on food stamps. But throughout it all, I kept hearing a still, small voice telling me that there was something afoot. There was something I wasn't going to understand for a while, and that all of this was happening for a reason that reason couldn't fathom. And to make a long and excruciating story mercifully short for you, it led, among other things, to the creation of my book, Callings. So that was an interesting lesson all by itself for me. But throughout it all, in the throes of this phase of my life, I kept hearing this refrain in my head: trust the universe, which I confess at the time, on one hand, triggered my skepticism, if not my intellectual gag reflex. That's how I felt at the time. Though I understand that doubt is not opposed to faith, it's part of it, all right? But on the other hand, trust the universe has a long and noble lineage. I mean, we know it, for instance, as let go and let God, right? Or trust the process. Have faith is another iteration of it. Don't push the river. And of course, thy will be done, okay? So now, flash forward 25 years, all right? For most of the last year and a half, I've been hearing that refrain in my head again, trust the universe, which is a spiritual adage. You know, this is a spiritual adage that really splits my brain in two, but this time around, I've been trying to drill down into it a bit more than usual, and I've been wondering, what exactly does that mean, to trust the universe? What does that mean? You know, what aspects of the universe are you trusting when you say you trust the universe, right? So for instance, when and if you say you trust the universe, are you saying that you trust its benevolence? All right? Feeling that you're somehow looked after, okay? Which is not something everyone can trust. I did a workshop a month ago on this topic, trust the universe, and in the middle of the class, black woman who's in the class raised her hand and in the nicest possible way said, so is trusting the universe another way of saying white privilege? I have a lot to learn. And she makes an incredibly vital point, you know, this notion that the universe has your back, right? Much easier to get behind when luck has favored you with, let's say, a favorable race or sexual orientation, okay? Or a loving family, good education, good health, regular paycheck, right? Much harder to get behind when, you know, your ration of luck includes maybe being born into poverty or a war zone, for that matter, you know, or a violent family, or you're a paycheck away from homelessness, or you're homeless. You know, one of them's likely to fill you with paranoia, which is technically the belief that the universe is conspiring against you. And the other is likely to fill you with what's called pronoia, which is the belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor. Okay? So, Albert Einstein was once reportedly interviewed, and the interviewer asked him, of all the questions you've posed into the mysteries of the universe, Mr. Einstein, what do you think is the most important question to ask? And Albert Einstein reportedly said, "Is the universe a friendly place or not?" Okay, so how you answer that question is likely going to impact, if not determine, how your life unfolds. You know, how you're going to interpret and respond to the things that happen to you, including events like a pandemic or political, cultural upheavals, things like that. You know, in a sense, it demonstrates your default position to life. Optimistic, pessimistic. I realize that's somewhat simplified, but I think you see my point. You know, it might also be an interesting question to ask yourself whether you believe the universe is a meaningful place. Because if you do, I think you're more likely to trust that whatever hits the fan, you're going to at least be able to find some meaning and some sense of purpose in it. Okay? Now, if by friendly you mean favorably disposed toward, just the dictionary definition, friendly, favorably disposed toward, then it seems to me that the universe is clearly a friendly place. I mean, in the sense that it created us. It gave us life. It gave us a habitable planet to live on, you know, gave us each other, gave us one another, right? So in that sense, it seems like it is a friendly place. And because we are capable of love, compassion, empathy, I think it stands to reason that the universe is also composed of those qualities. I mean, if nothing else, through us, okay? But it's one thing to say that the universe has a heart. It's another to actually feel it, actually believe it. You know, to believe that even in your darkest hours, and I would venture to guess most of us have had a few of those in the last year and a half, that even so, life is still, and maybe even ultimately, good and beautiful and generous, right? That even when and if the bottom falls out, in a sense, the universe still gives you earth to land on, people to commiserate with, you know, and a mind that can imagine better days, or at least remember them, okay? And since we are all each a part of the universe, in other words, it's not just out there somewhere floating around in outer space. Since each one of us is a part of the universe, you might also ask whether you yourself are a friendly place or not. You know, do you trust yourself? Do you treat yourself with kindness or judgment or indifference, right? If your internal organs could speak, okay, or that spiritual organ that we call a soul, you know, or for that matter, the roughly 40 trillion individual bacterial beings that are in each one of our bodies and with whom we co-evolved, would they say you're a friendly place or not? I mean, because after all, you're the universe in which they go about their business. You know, would they trust your essential goodness and amicability? You know, your support, empathy for them. So I found that to be a useful way of bringing this question about trusting the universe really close to home. Okay? So, when you say, if you say, another example, that you trust the universe, are you saying that you trust it to work in mysterious ways? Okay? Which I think it clearly does. Those mysterious ways often seem to run counter to my agendas. And I think it's also possible to increase your tolerance for mystery and uncertainty, which these days kind of specialize in. For instance, by studying the natural world, studying the human heart or human psyche, right? Studying the creative process, or just your own dreams, because all of those, I think, are full of mystery. They're full of mystery, and studying them is a way to study mystery and how it moves through life and through time, all right? If you say you trust the universe, are you saying that you trust that life supports growth, ultimately? Life supports growth, which I think it also does, though I think it's kind of a constant cycling between growth and decay, and growth and decay, and growth and decay, and growth, all right? But what that means, at least to me, is that if you were to stick with any given crisis long enough, in other words, if you were to ride it out in full consciousness, with all instruments turned to the on position, I think it would eventually lead you back, or forward, I should say, to growth. In other words, that a crisis will eventually evolve or resolve into what the mythologist Joseph Campbell called a directive crisis. What Gail Sheehy, the author who wrote the book Passages, called falling up. I love this idea, falling up. And I think what just the rest of us call turning lemons into lemonade, right? But one of the things that I have come to trust about life and the proverbial universe is the repeating pattern of setbacks setting me up for breakthroughs, failures setting me up for opportunities. In fact, I remember having a mentor once say to me, I was telling him over lunch that I wanted to quit my job as a reporter, go to work for myself as a freelance writer, which is not exactly a decision designed to reassure your parents, let's say. And that I was terrified of failing at it, just plain old failing at it. He said, Gregg, if you are not failing regularly, man, you're living so far below your potential that you're failing anyway. Whoa. Explains why I had lunch with this guy once a year. There's mentors, and then there's tormentors. Which is actually really a good thing, because it just means people in your life who are not afraid of making fun of the king or the queen, you know what I mean? They're perfectly willing to run tire tracks across your neat suburban lawn, in any case, failure. So, in fact, if you were to do this, I did this experiment 6 months ago. If you were to make a timeline of the growth spurts in your life, actually go back and look at all the growth spurts in your life as far back as you can remember, I would venture to guess you'd notice, as I did, that they are usually precipitated by upheaval of some kind. Okay? I mean, I think we can probably all point to at least a couple of silver linings that came out of this whole pandemic for us, like that. You'll find that they are not just precipitated by upheaval, but they're certainly accompanied by it. But it was a really interesting experiment, and one of those things that I've come to trust about the way life operates, that there's that pattern. Another example, if you say you trust the universe, are you saying that you trust that life operates on a like attracts like basis? In which case, keeping your chin up in a crisis or a challenging time ought to set up something like a similar frequency in the life around you. You know what I'm saying? Which is really just the basis of what people call the law of attraction. All right? Or if you say you're trusting the universe, are you really just ultimately saying you trust your own resilience? Your own resilience. Your own ability to choose how you're going to respond to whatever the universe throws at you. Okay? But the definition of trusting something is believing in its reliability. Again, dictionary definition. Trusting something means believing in its reliability. Right off the bat, there's a catch here, because the universe is clearly reliable. I mean, you know, sun comes up, sun goes down, gravity works, right? But the universe is also reliably unpredictable. You know, I'm thinking of chaos theory or Murphy's Law. You've heard of Murphy's Law? If anything can go wrong, it will. You know, bread always falls butter side down, kind of thing. Or I'm thinking of just the law of entropy. Entropy, the spontaneous tendencies toward just disorder in the universe. Or I'm thinking of, if you don't mind me saying so on a Sunday morning in church, the famous shit that happens. So saying you trust the universe has to include trusting that it is predictably unpredictable. You know, it's random and chaotic, which are forces that clearly operate on affairs down here on the home planet. You know, it's trusting the universe really kind of to be itself, which is a combination of reliable and unreliable, and frankly that we, being parts of the universe, will operate in pretty much a similar fashion, just in our own personal lives, okay? This requires a skill that I once heard described as heroism, I would add heroinism, redefined for the modern age. Heroism redefined is the ability to tolerate paradox. Heroism is quite a statement. Redefined for the modern era is the ability to hold two seemingly contrary ideas, impulses, energies, beliefs inside you at the same time and still retain the ability to function. If not, hang on to your cookies and your marbles and your lunch. Okay? So faith and fear, us and them, head and heart, masculine, feminine, reliable, unreliable. I mean, pick your duality. The willingness, the ability to hold the tension between these without trying to resolve it just to be rid of the stuff one or the other under the floorboards just to get rid of the tension. And I think part of the beauty of practicing paradox is not only that it creates, I think, tremendous resilience in people. I mean, you know, you've got to stretch yourself wide enough to hold opposing forces. So that's a practice in resilience right there. But I think the practice of paradox also mitigates against tyranny. Tyranny is just elevating one principle and suppressing the others. That's really kind of all it's about. Elevating one principle, suppressing the others. That operates as much inside people as between them. Okay? The same thing, frankly, I think goes for diversity and inclusion. Now, these are topics that are hot right now because, you know, they're part of the very gratefully widespread conversations that are happening around social injustice and systemic racism. But D&I, as they are now called, apply not just to groups and organizations and politics and whatnot, to the inner workings of those things, but it applies to the inner workings of individuals. For instance, what parts of yourself do you exclude? You know, what voices in your head do you not want to listen to, not want to bring to the table, not want to give any kind of equal airtime to? What, to use one of the terms they use, unconscious biases do you have toward parts of your own personality? That seems to me part of diversity and inclusion work, you know? And those things apply as much to the individual as they do to the groups that we belong to, I think. And all of those things that I just mentioned become part of what the psychoanalyst Carl Jung called shadow. All of those things. So I'm not in any way suggesting, by the way, that we don't do the world work. I'm just saying it's also individual work, that D&I stuff, you know? And so the practice of paradox requires that we bring opposing forces together to talk to one another. All right, there's an organization I just ran across called Braver Angels. Anybody heard of them? Fabulous. You should Google this. Braver Angels is an organization that brings people together from really opposing sides of the spectrum. Whatever, all different kinds of spectrums, political and cultural and sexual and whatnot, to talk to one another, but not as in trying to convince each other of anything, not arguing content, but getting to the stories that explain why they believe what they believe. And they are even now in the perhaps unhallowed halls of Congress doing that work. It's phenomenal paradox practice, okay? But it requires that you bring these forces together to talk to one another, all right? You know who Tolkien is, right? The guy who wrote Lord of the Rings? He once said, it doesn't do you any good to leave a dragon out of your calculations if you live near him. So, trusting the universe, and of course, finding some meaning and purpose in any given manifestation of the universe, like a pandemic, might ultimately come down to the work of staying in conversation with the universe, staying in correspondence with the universe. And I think there's lots of ways of doing that. Dialoguing with the dragons in your life is one. Asking for dream guidance. Listening to your body. Trusting intuitions and synchronicities. Spending time in the natural world. Meditation, prayer. Journaling is actually a beautiful tool for staying in conversation with the bigger picture. I'm thinking of something a fellow named Ira Progoff once said. So Progoff is really one of the grandfathers of personal journaling because he created a system back in the 60s called the intensive journaling process. Wrote a book called At a Journal Workshop. He said, the point of journaling is to go down deeply enough into your own well that you eventually hit the stream that's the source of all the wells, which I find just ravishing all by itself, but suggests that journaling is a perfect tool for staying in correspondence with the bigger picture. And of course, being a journalist myself, it's also a great way to just plain old feel your way through life and through events like pandemics and whatnot, the challenges, the crises of life. So one of my own responses to the pandemic, and specifically to the financial anxieties that it brought about, is to rearrange my morning routine so that I'm now including in it an act of trust. Not just an abstract notion of trusting the universe, an actual act of trust. So what I'm doing now in my morning routine is I'm now including 15 or 20 minutes of playing the piano before I go into my office to work, okay? And I'm doing that partly to prove to myself, demonstrate to myself that I can afford the time to do that, okay? So an act of trust, not just a high opinion I have of myself, you know, an actual act of trust. So, you know, frankly, one of the diagnostics that I use anymore to know whether I'm actually in a state of trust is when I make counterintuitive decisions like that. You know, I respond to fear with surrender rather than striving, right? Or choosing passion over security, or making the growth choice over the fear choice. That's a high art, right? Or just trying to allow things to happen rather than always trying to make them happen. Make money, make a living, make ends meet. You know, make sense, make love, make a difference, make headway. More allowing things to happen. And that's definitely something that I notice. If I'm doing those kinds of things, then I'm actually more in a state of real trust rather than just an opinion. In fact, I think it's simply easier to trust the universe when I'm doing my part, okay? So not just being patient, sometimes on the order of years, not just being faithful, waiting for the universe to deliver, but being actively patient, as in God helps those who help themselves, as in trust Allah but tie your camel to a post, okay? As in luck favors the prepared mind, something Louis Pasteur told us. Luck favors the prepared mind, okay? So, besides, you know, the origin of the word wait is to watch. That's actually the etymology of the word wait. It means to watch. So waiting doesn't mean sitting around twiddling your thumbs, you know, waiting for the pandemic to end or whatever. It means being actively patient. It means being attentive, is what I mean. It means being attentive. And that, of course, is a critical conversational skill. All right? So, because spiritual practice, at least by my lights, is the work of creating a bond with whatever is greater than myself. That's just my working definition of spiritual practice. The work of creating a connection with whatever is bigger than me. That includes God. That includes community. It includes partnership, the natural world, you know, just my own potential. All of those things are bigger than me. So what that means to me is these kind of practices come in really handy in helping my conversation with the universe and helping me strike up a mutually friendly rapport with the universe, mutually friendly, all right? So that might begin by answering Einstein's question. Answer Einstein's question for yourself. Is the universe a friendly place or not? And maybe think about why you believe it either is or is not a friendly place. Why is that? How did you come to that conclusion? What forces went into creating that opinion about the world? All right? So I wish us all great good luck in striking up a mutually friendly rapport with the universe, and continuing to navigate with some measure of grace the things that are, you know, hitting the fan at the moment. And I just want to thank you again for inviting me back, and I wish you all great good luck. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gregg. Wow, lots of gems in that talk for us. Thank you. So let's just take all the wisdom of Gregg and all that we've just experienced and take it into prayer now. So just settling in and knowing that there is only one power, one presence, one goodness, one infinite, grace-filled love of life that is known by many names. Spirit, Allah, Mother, Father, God. Whatever name we choose to call it, we know that there is only the one. And how good it is to know that that one is everywhere present, that is in, through, and as all things. That it is amazing, it is vast, it is wise and wonderful. And whether we be a mentor or a tormentor, we know that we are absolutely one with this power, this presence, that we show up in all of our allness and goodness this day. And I'm so grateful for us coming together and recognizing this divine power that resides within us. And how blessed we are to have a fabulous speaker today, Gregg Levoy, our musicians, what a blessing. We are always so blessed by their creative talent and energy. It nourishes our souls. How good that is. And so I'm accepting and knowing right here and right now for this month's nonprofit partner, Women's Cancer Resource Center, which creates opportunities for women with cancer to improve the quality of life through education, supportive services, and practical assistance at no cost. We know that they flourish, that they are blessed as they bless each one in need of their beautiful service. And for our planet, Mother Earth, gratitude for her beauty and her resilience, and for our mindfully good stewardship of her. We are truly blessed to be in the beauty of this universe, this world, this Mother Earth. And blessing our youth and the youth of the world, knowing they are guided by the loving heart and mind of the One. And blessing those in service who are creating a world that works for everyone. And I speak a special word of love and comfort and healing for all of those impacted by any challenge whatsoever, any world challenge or any personal challenge. I speak a word now for Cheryl, for Loretta Mikolos, Sister of Regina Buckwalter, for Antonio Copra and family, for Joyce Lamar, practitioner here at Oakland Center, for Louise Thompson, our practitioner, Tina Marie Scott, and for Doug Hobbs, the father of Kelly Hobbs. We're knowing peace of mind, peace of heart, ease and comfort for each and every one. And peace and comfort for those who are experience a transition of any kind, but for Lucian Baker and Reverend Eloise Oliver and their family as they release Lucian's stepfather, Bobby Edens. And for Chuni Gurma, niece of Judith Roberts, and for the Gurma family. And I invite you now to take a moment and call forth anyone who's on your heart in need of a prayer, and freely speak their names into the sacredness of this sanctuary. And as the names continue to be spoken, let us just surround them in love and light and peace and harmony and all those magnificent qualities of the one divine power and presence that is within us, through us, and as us. And I am so very grateful for this time together today, for all the energy it's taken to bring this service into play, for everyone who's had a part in it, for our live streamers who are also embraced in our loving sanctuary here today. Blessing us all, being grateful for all that is transpiring in our lives as we move forward. And as we realize that any setback is a step forward to move us into our greatest yet to be. So I just lovingly release these words now into the universal law of mind, the law of life that always, always says yes to our heart's desires. If this is true for you, please join me in saying, and so it is. Amen. And now is our conscious giving time. So yes, I invite you to hold your gift to your heart. If you are an auto tither, we know that that too is held to our heart. And we know that we have many forms of and opportunities to donate to our spiritual center, because this is a production that does take resources. And so we know that law of circulation is always active in our lives. As we give, we too receive. And so you can use our donate button on our website, or you can text your donation. And now we have Zelle available. And of course, there's always the old-fashioned postal service. So thank you in advance for the beautiful gifts that you share with us so lovingly. And I know that they bless us all in a unique and special way. So as you leave the sanctuary today, Doug will have a table outside the door with his amazing books. So I encourage you to stop by and say hello, and your gifts can be placed in the basket at the exit. Both exits, actually. So now it's time to have our Regina Buckwalter come up and give us our closing prayer. Oh, before we do that, let's say oh my gosh, I almost forgot our affirmation, our giving affirmation. Joyously I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive, and so it is.
So in choosing a song for today, as I was talking to Kev, out of nowhere, I heard this song, and I thought it was a perfect choice for getting back into the world and trying to make sense out of what we've all survived in this last year and a half. And it feels like we are waking up from not a slumber, but at least a little bit of a nap of sorts. So I'm sure you guys know this song, and feel free to sing along with me. Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Yeah. Wake up, all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what we have to say, 'cause they're the ones who are coming up and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. Oh, the world ain't get no better if we just let it be. No, 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 no. The world don't get no better. We gotta change the world, just you and me. Oh, wake up, all the doctors, make the old people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hell. But they don't have so very long before the judgment day. So won't you make them happy before they pass away? Oh, wake up, all the builders, time to build a new land. I know we can do it if we all lend a hand. The only thing we have to do is to put it in our mind. Surely things will work out, they do it every time. Oh, the world won't get no better if we just let it be. No, 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 no. The world won't get no better. We gotta change the world, just you and me. So if you guys will sing with me just a little bit. This section right here, I want you to say, change the world, just you and me. Change the world, just you and me. Just you guys here. Change the world, just you and me. Change the world, just you and me, just you and me. Change the world, just you and me, just you and me. Change the world, just you and me, just you and me. I want you to change the world, just you and me, just you and me. I want you to change the world, just you and me, just you and me. I want you to change the world, just you and me. Let's see how it goes. You and me, change the world, just you and me, just you and me. I want you to change the world, Just you and me, just you and me. I want you to change the world. Just you and me, just you and me. I want you to change the world. Just you and me. Take the refrain. The world will get no better if we just let it be. Oh, the world will get any better. We gotta change the world, just you and me. One more time now, say, oh, the world won't get any better if we just let it be. The world won't get any better. We gotta change the world. Just you and me. Oh, you and me. Change the world. Just you and me. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm in the land of my Aunt Lynn and my godmother Bunny, and so thank you for having me. This is definitely a home for me as well. So thank you guys.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Party time here at OCSL. That was awesome. Thank you. Great music. Wow. I want to go to a party and dance with these guys. Wow. So thank you, Kev. Musicians that showed up. Thank you, Gregg. Wow. Inspired. Very inspiring talk. Lots of questions. Okay. I would love to know how Einstein answered. And I would love to know your conversation with that African-American woman as well. Now I have a lot of curiosity. You put the carrot out. Thank you, everybody that tuned in today, everybody that showed up, came to the center, all of the people that have supported the space, the tech folks, our amazing, amazing tech staff. Thank you. Lots of gratitude. As well as the people that are on the ground here, the ushers, the practitioners. It takes a lot to put this together every Sunday, and I have a lot of gratitude for everybody that has kept it together, especially during the pandemic. It's a pretty amazing job that the community that we were able to ground and sustain during the pandemic, and we still are. Okay, if you want a prayer at the end, I believe there's prayer happening in the community hall across the block, okay, right, the community center. There'll be practitioners there, I do believe, praying. Yep, okay. I think I'll be one of them. And make sure that you exit right after the service. No lingering in the sanctuary. We got to create a nice, safe space so that we can continue to be a safe environment during the pandemic. Okay, I think I answered it all. Now for the affirmation for today. Oh, it's up there. So you may say the affirmation together. Every step of the way is an extension of my faith. The further I go, the higher I rise. Yay, yay. Okay. Is there any, like, this is it. Okay, folks. Thank you for showing up.
Before we go, I'd like to just once again give it up and acknowledge Silas for the beautiful performance. We actually worked together during the week. We're both teachers at Oakland School for the Arts. He's in the vocal department. He's been there for what, 6, 7 years? How long? 8 years. 8 years. Yeah. Incredible educator. So give it up for all of the teachers and especially this brother. We work together a lot in school. So I also just want to say thanks to the band again one more time. Dan Drummer on drums. Julio Xavier on the bass. And I won't be seeing y'all for a couple of weeks. I'll be back at the beginning of October. But before then, just a couple of things we just want to put on your radar. Today I'll be performing out at San Francisco Botanical Gardens for this event called Flower Piano. It'll be really nice. October 1st I'll be at Yoshi's, so make sure y'all come through to that. Y'all know that's always a good time. Also just acknowledging September 24th, I have this release that I did with SF Symphony called Movements that'll be released on all digital platforms. And that's a pretty big thing for me just as an artist and composer. I got a chance to work with the SF Symphony. I don't know if y'all remember we brought an orchestra in here, so working with the SF Symphony is definitely a big thing, and I just appreciate this community for always inspiring me and allow me to have a place to, bring in music and express ourselves musically on Sundays and in this space. So I feel like that translates into all that we do in community as educators and musicians. So we thank you for allowing us to be musical vessels on these Sunday mornings. So thank you all. We're going to end this all together. Have a beautiful day, beautiful week. Thank you all. Appreciate you.